Welcome to your practice. Welcome to the mat. And let's get started. So we are going to start tonight with legs up the wall. And have a block or a pillow handy so that maybe if you choose to, you can put it under your hips for a little bit more lift. And so what you're going to do is just shift your tailbone up as far as you can and then lay on back. You might decide to put a pillow or a blanket behind the head for a little bit of extra support. And then when you get there, you might decide that you can scoot forward a little bit more. It takes some effort to get up here. Once we get there, we can just settle in. You might decide to rest the hands on the low belly. Or maybe you'd like a heart opening and allow the palms to face up by your side. When you arrive, go ahead and take a big breath in and a sigh out. Do that 2 more times. Big breath in through the nose and a sigh out of the mouth. Good. 1 more time. Fill all the way in. And then let go completely. So it's no secret that our world is a little hectic right now. That there are a lot of moving pieces and to the actually which aids in immunity. And then lastly, going upside down helps us to physically, of course, and along with mentally, flip perspective. So that's my aim tonight, seeing if we can't somehow alter our perspective on, if nothing else, at least the way that we respond to the outside world. That's a lot to work on, but we can get there. We can get there. You can stay just as you are. If you're really comfortable, then just stay there and get even heavier. But if you'd like, you can take your block or your pillow and place it underneath the hips, which would just give you a little bit more lift, bringing the heart even more so under the hips and the feet. So last week we talked about the idea of we are what we think. And I just have a little reading from my meditation booklet about thinking positive. Meditation helps us to develop the capacity to observe our thoughts from a neutral place rather than identifying with them. This enables us to watch the patterns of our thinking on a constant basis. When you notice negative thoughts arising, whether in this practice or maybe tonight if you're watching the debate, observe those negative thoughts without judgment before replacing them with more positive thoughts. It is possible to replace thoughts of fear, thoughts of anger, thoughts of sadness with thoughts of positivity and happiness and love and care and compassion. So we will start just with your body in this one practice. See where you can flip. Maybe that would look like if you notice yourself getting frustrated at your body for not being able to go as deep into a posture. You might flip that by asking yourself if you can be perfectly content, at peace with exactly where your body is in that moment. So again, you can stay where you are, or you might choose to slide the feet down the wall, finding a supported happy baby, letting the knees drop out towards the underarms, and allowing the feet to slide down as far as they'd like to slide down. And so this would kind of look like what we found last week, that frog posture, only it's more supported and not as intense on the hips. So wherever you feel it, allow your breath to go there. And we will just take 3 more breaths here. So allow them to be good. Allow the exhale to drop you even deeper. And if you have the block underneath you, pull your legs together and lift the hips up and release the block. Release the hips all the way down. And stay here for a moment with the knees and feet tied together, just allowing the back to resettle. And then checking that there's no water or anything you're going to knock over next to you. Go ahead and roll to one side, cradling your head with your arm, finding fetal posture. Take just 3 breaths here. Good, and then slowly work your way up and right into a child's pose. Knees can be together or wide, whatever makes sense for you. And you might place a bolster under your belly and chest to find extra grounding. And allow the arms to extend along the ears, palms face down. And reach forward through the hands. So walk your arms forward a little bit more, but slide the shoulder blades down the back. So you might feel a deeper stretch there towards the triceps or along the underarm. Take a big breath into the back of the heart. Exhale to release everything. On your next inhale, lift the right arm up to the sky, rotate the right wrist. And in the other direction. And then release the right arm under the left so that you're like a thread the needle. And you can bring the right side of the face to a block. Or if it's comfortable enough, you can bring it to the earth. That left arm can stay by your face, or you might wrap it all the way around the low back, bringing your fingertips around the right thigh. Take 5 breaths into the right shoulder. And then inhale, lift that arm up, and then release it down to meet the left. We'll do that same thing, other side. Left arm lifts up, rotate the wrist. Other direction. And then drape that left arm through. Breathing into the outside of the left shoulder. Recognizing the depth that you go as when you have your head on the ground versus having your head on a pillow or on a block. And then find an even deeper stretch, if you'd like, by wrapping that right arm around the low back. Good. Release that right arm next to your face. Lift the left arm up. And then release it down. Take just one more breath here. Good. And then we'll come on up into a tabletop position for just a few rounds of cat-cow. Check that the knees are under the shoulders, the hands are, the knees under the hips, the wrists under the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, grip the mat with the fingertips. And on the inhale, we'll lift the heart up, lift the gaze up. Exhale, round through, chin to chest, navel to spine. Do that a few more times, and as you come into cow, or cat, you might decide to shift the hips back on the exhale. And then inhale back into cat and through to cow. That would just give you a little bit of extra motion and stretch. As you breathe in, really attempt to stretch through the belly. So expand all four sides of the lungs. Good, and then once you come forward, walk your hands forward for a few barrel rolls. Bringing the hips to the left, towards the back, around to the right, and to the front. Move slowly. Breathe into the cracky spaces. And you might let your head rotate as well. Being loving and gentle with your body. When you find a place to stop, pause, and then rotate in the other direction. It helps to keep the knees wide. And then next time the hips are forward, go ahead and lower all the way to the belly. Rest one cheek to the mat. Allow the heels to relax, the toes to drop in. Relax the feet all the way up to the crown of the head. Henry David Thoreau teaches about brighter prospects. He said that a single gentle rain makes the grass many shades greener. So our prospects brighten on the influx of better thoughts. With each breath in, use that as encouragement to enhance your positive thoughts. Go ahead and walk your forearms underneath so that the elbows are under the shoulders for Sphinx pose. Tie the navel in towards the spine, and remember that this opening is going to be deeper the closer your elbows are towards the body. So if you don't want to go so deep, walk the arms away from the body. And then use each exhale as an opportunity to release any negative, stale thoughts. Anything that doesn't make you more loving and compassionate. So breathing in to expand the positivity within and around you. Breathing out to release the negativity. A few more times, and you might decide to push yourself up into a cobra. Relax the face. Take a big breath in. Exhale to release all the way down, opposite cheek to the mat. Relax completely. Hands under shoulders, come on back to tabletop. And we'll stretch the front of our wrists. You can do both if you'd like, or you can take 5 breaths with just one wrist face down and then 5 breaths with the other. And so where we're gonna be is the tops of the palms on the ground. Maybe that's just the knuckles. And we're just gonna rock back and forth. And so we have 10 breaths here. So again, take 5 breaths on each side or 10 breaths with both. You can choose to rock side to side if you like. Opening through the heart space, or the spaces that are connected with the heart. Encouraging more compassion and connection with ourselves. It starts there. But then the real goal is so that it can expand out to the world, to our loved ones, to strangers, and maybe even to politicians that we don't like. Go ahead and release. Sit back onto the heels. You might tuck the toes, or you can just sit back and do a little flick of the wrist. Notice what might be dissipating, what may have come up from that subtle stretch. Good. And then place your hands down. You can stay in a tabletop, or you can join me in lifting the hips up and back for down dog. We're not going to be here long, just long enough to ground down through the feet and the hands. Keep the knees really bent. Pull the navel in towards the spine and guide the underarms so that they're facing towards each other, opening through the shoulder blades. Gazing in between the feet, take a big breath in. Exhale from the mouth. Do that just one more time. Good, inhale. Exhale, walk your hands back towards the feet. And if you're situated like me, you might have the wall to your back. If not, go ahead and walk yourself, rising gently if you have to, so that your butt is on the wall. Your knees are slightly bent. We're going to rise up halfway, bringing hands to the shins or maybe to the thighs, opening through the heart. And then on the exhale, fold forward. That might be with the elbows above the knees. The chin can drop heavy from there if that feels safe on the neck. Or maybe you have space to drop all the way down. Remember that the more you bend those knees, the more that this stretch is taken out of the low back, which we don't want, or which we do want. We don't want the low back in this stretch. And therefore more into the hamstrings and all the way down the spine into the cervical vertebrae. And so feeling all the good stuff of this forward fold, not so much of the bad stuff. Keep your eyes open. Noticing what it's like to go upside down. to see the world, even this tiny glimpse of it, from a different perspective. From here, breathe in positivity and breathe out negativity. Breathe in love. Breathe out hate. Breathe in peace. Breathe out chaos. Breathe in compassion. Breathe out whatever is opposite of compassion. And then in your own time, when it feels right, we're going to slowly rise up one vertebrae at a time. Let the wall support you the whole way up. Keep the arms and the head heavy so that the shoulders and the head rise up last. And then once you're balanced, then you can release from the wall. And find Tadasana, rooting down through the feet. Maybe just like last week, you spread the toes and guide one toe down at a time from the pinky, slowly all the way to the big toe. Really rooting down through all four corners of both feet. Palms forward, heart open and soft. Close the eyes. And breathe in through the nose. Out through the nose. Again, breathe in. And breathe out. Imagine that you're standing in a cleansing spring right now. And simultaneously, there's the most beautiful rain falling down on you. And you're feeling this rain from your soul through your body. And this rain is falling down onto the crown of your head, falling down deep into your being and out through your feet. This clean water that falls down onto you brings positive ions. And it is charged with the spirit of I can. So feel that water falling down on you, reminding you of everything that you are capable of. And this water replaces all of the negative I can't ions. So you might go back to that breath, and as you feel the water continuing to fall down on you, you might breathe in, I can. Maybe you fill it with something. I can create peace. I can enhance love in this world. I can do my part. What is it for you? And then on the exhale, allow it to release the can'ts. What is it that your mind, that brain of yours, sometimes has you thinking that you cannot do? Allow all of those cans to push the can'ts to the side. So hopefully now you feel refreshed and ready for positive action. On your next inhale, we'll lift our arms out and up. And on the exhale, fold gently to the right. Let the right arm fall by the right side. Let the left arm lift up and along the left ear. And you can just hang here. It's okay if that left shoulder folds forward a little bit. Just be soft. If it's okay on the neck, you might let the head drop towards the right. Just take 2 more breaths in through the left side body. Staying rooted through both feet. Go ahead on the inhale, slowly lift up. Maybe spread the feet a little bit wider if it'll be easier. And then exhale, fold to the left. Remembering that you are in charge of how deep you go here. If you find that you're sinking too much in the left foot, actively push the right foot into the mat. And the gaze can be down. It's a more passive way of finding this posture. Just 1 more breath. Inhale, slowly rise up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And by your side. Good. Inhale, rise up. Let's go ahead and actually walk back to the wall. Exhale, we'll fold forward. Inhale, rise up halfway with the hands on the shins or maybe above the knees. Exhale, fold forward. Choose to hang here for as long as it feels good. You can stay here for the rest of the practice if you'd like. Or walk forward with me. Lowering the knees. And then lower yourself all the way to the belly once again. The palms are going to be wide on the mat, fingers pointing towards the outside corners. And we'll do 5 cobra flows. On the inhale, lift up from the back of the heart. Head follows. Exhale, release. If that's too much on the back, walk your hands even more away from the body. Three more. Let your breath be the guide. Good, and then release down. Find a child's pose. And breathe. Then we'll come up to our seat. Coming into a butterfly position. I have my extra folded blanket. If you have something like that you can grab and sit on, a blanket or a towel or a small pillow, that would be ideal here. Just gives us a little bit of lift. And then we'll bring our feet together and further away from the feet than you usually would. And then we'll just, for a moment, just flap your wings a little bit, warming up those muscles. And then bring the hands to the ankles. With the elbows on the inside of the thigh, guide the knees down, keeping length through the back. And we'll hold here for 5 breaths. Pull the navel in towards the spine with each inhale, lengthen. Each exhale, soften through the hips. Inhale, lengthen, awaken. Exhale and soften. Ground down. 2 more. On the next inhale, hold the breath in at the top, squeeze in through the pelvic floor. When it's time to release, release everything, fold forward, palms face up, head heavy. You can take a block on top of your feet so that it supports the head. You can take one block under the chest, like so, and another block to support the head. But no grasping here. No more clenching of the pelvic floor. No more pulling the navel in towards the spine. But just letting everything release. Breathe in through the back of the body. So sometimes, many of us humans have the tendency to take everything personally. And so again, here we are, we're talking about how can we remain a sense of calm despite the craziness that might be happening all around us. And so one way, or another way, is by not taking things so personally. So we can have the tendency to take all irritations from others as personal insults, as if it can indicate an underlying lack of self-belief. So if you catch yourself ever making paranoid assumptions, spend some time questioning that logic. Do you think the builder is hammering outside, making noise just to annoy you? That's been happening outside of my apartment every day. Or is he simply doing his job? When we cease to take irritations personally, we may still find them unpleasant, but we no longer react so emotionally to the irritation. So just like you do in this practice, softening in the postures, breathing into those spaces, you can do the same thing when the mind starts playing tricks. Allowing yourself just to soften there and release there. In your own time, slowly make your way up, rising up one vertebrae at a time. And then from there, we'll just extend our legs forward for Dandasana. You can keep the blanket or the pillow under the hips. Bring the palms by your side. Push away from the earth with the palms. So really activate in the arms. Stretch the elbows straight. At the same time, though, see if you can do so without allowing the shoulders to scrunch up towards your ears. Gently tuck the chin to the chest, lengthening the back of the neck. breathe into that length. You can choose to stay here. For some of us, the sensation of pushing away from the ground might feel really good, especially if you've had any sort of anxiety lately. It's a really good release to just push away and stay active through the muscles in the arms. But if you'd like, you can also let yourself fold forward. If you're choosing that option, allow the feet and the legs to relax. Palms face up, head heavy. As always, placing a bolster underneath you if you find that you need that extra support. We have 5 more breaths. Wherever you are, let yourself be just there for 5 more breaths. And if you're down, slowly rise up and crisscross your legs, one ankle in front of the other. It doesn't matter which. And we'll lift our arms out and up. And on the exhale, twist to the right. The left arm on the outside, the left hand on the outside of the right thigh. Right hand behind you, close to the tailbone. So that right arm behind you is encouraging length through the spine. And the left hand is a little bit of leverage to twist through the navel. You can gaze forward, or for an extra twist, you can bring the gaze over the back shoulder. Just 3 more breaths. Good, and then inhale, rise up. Exhale, twist to the other side. One more big breath. Good. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands down, heart center. Place one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And just check in for a moment. You might notice how you feel differently now compared to when you first came to the mat. Whatever arises, just encourage gentleness and softness. And a dash of positivity. And then release the hands down. Since we're still seated, we're going to do our final kind of active posture. You don't have to come into this. You don't have to do any of it. But if you'd like to, you can join in with me. So we're going to find a camel pose using the wall since we have it. So you'll see that I slid my mat forward even more. Now, you might like to bring both blocks so that they are available if you want to place your hands down on them. What we're going to do is shift our hips forward so that they're pushing in towards the wall. Some of us, and all of us actually, are going to start with our hands in a fist right at the low back, so right at the sacrum. Some of us are going to just stay here. This is a perfect place to be, tying the elbows together, bringing the gaze forward, maybe up. Others might find that you'd like to shift back even more, but we want to keep the hips pushed in towards the wall. And just pause there, see what that feels like. And then others might want to place the hands down on the blocks, and that's going to be a lot. So just be mindful of how far you go. It doesn't matter how far you go, but how good it feels as you get there. Just 3 breaths. If your breath is constricted, that's indication that you've gone too far. Inhale, rise up. And sit down on your heels. Just take a moment to come back. Maybe you allow a subtle smile to come to your lips after courageously opening through the whole front of the body. Good. And then we will come to our back. So start to walk. We're not coming into our waterfall quite yet, but get yourself close enough to the wall because eventually we'll be scooting ourselves forward. So to recenter after that back bend, we're going to find a gentle twist. Hips to the left, knees to the right. Bringing a block in between the legs if you'd like. Maybe wrapping the top leg all the way around. Breathing in, I can. And releasing, I can't. Filling in the blanks for your personal life, your personal journey. And start to shift to the other side. And then inhale back to the center. Now, we're going to position ourselves coming back up to legs up the wall. And some of you might decide to transition from there into a shoulder stand. If you think you'd like to do that, I recommend placing a blanket or towel. You can see that I have my little sarong here that I've been using. And this is going to go so that the top edge, and this is only if you're choosing to take shoulder stand after a few breaths in waterfall. So that we want the top edge of the blanket to go right at the top of our shoulders. So I'm going to slide my hips up to the wall and position it under my shoulders. And so it takes a little situating, a little bit more challenging than just coming to the wall, but it's worth it when you go into the shoulder stand because it gives your neck extra support. And then now that I have this situated, I can scoop my hips a little bit closer And then now there's a lot of space between the back of my neck and the ground. And that's what we want. So some of us are just going to choose to stay here, feet up the wall. Maybe coming back into a supported happy baby. You can place the block under the hips, just like we did earlier. And so what I love, the one thing, like the main thing that I love about going upside down, finding inversions, is the idea that the blood is allowed to kind of drain down in the opposite direction than what it's used to. And so when that happens, you can think of I always just think of putting Drano down a drain. Once you release your legs back down, it's like your blood vessels and that lymph fluid is just able to cleanse and rush through the body. So it's going to be calming to the heart. And that is what makes it super nourishing to the nervous system. Aiding deep relaxation and helping a lot of people find deep sleep. And so I have restless leg. So it helps me, and I don't take any medication for it. It helps me to put my legs up the wall every night before I go to sleep so that my legs don't get so active through the night. So you can stay here right where you are with legs up the wall. Or you might start to lift the hips up, support the hips with the hands, walk the hands along the spine. If you're going there, remove the block and lift up so that the hips are above the shoulders, knees and feet above the hips, tying the elbows together. And your shoulders and neck should feel really supported. No crunching feeling in that space. And if you find that you do feel that, then just release the hips back down and keep your legs up the wall. Wherever you are, you can rotate through the ankles or flex the toes. Crisscross the legs, just kind of play around. You might play with bringing one knee to the forehead and the other leg extended straight up. And you might find a full plow, bringing your knees, both knees to the forehead. Maybe straightening the knees so that the toes can come onto the ground behind you. Keeping support of the back though the whole time. Come back to the breath if it's been lost. Come back to that sense of gentleness and ease and compassion. And if your hips are up, release your hands down so that you can slowly release the hips down, one vertebrae at a time. And the legs will come back to the wall. Take a big breath in. Let it go. Again. Good. Release the blanket from underneath you. shift yourself back so that your feet are away from the wall. And we'll come into, as our final posture, a supported fish pose. So inching your way forward. Then we'll bring our block, one block underneath the shoulders, in between the shoulder blades. And that second block or the pillow under the head. Palms face up. The legs can be extended or maybe feet together, knees apart. If you feel really comfortable here, you might decide to stay here for Shavasana. I'm not pulling us out quite yet, but if you think you might like that, I encourage you to grab a blanket or whatever you might need to get yourself comfortable for Shavasana in this posture. If you'd like to find a more traditional Shavasana or maybe even something different like resting on your belly or on the side, go ahead and find that posture in the next 5 breaths. And when you get to your place where you're deciding to stay, find any extra movements that you need to be completely comfortable. And then take a final big breath in through the nose and let it go audibly. Do that as many times as you need to really let go of whatever's stale or negative, so that you can fully drop into a space of positivity, peace, and love. Drop down. Every thought that we have, every image that we create is a seed of our future reality. To be love, we must see ourselves as love. First, hold in your mind the idea of love. Ask yourself what it means to you on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level. Now, imagine yourself being love from the inside out. What does it feel like? How do you behave? How do others respond to you? Having rehearsed this state of love in your mind, embody it throughout the rest of the evening in all your thoughts, feelings, and actions. Take a big breath in and let it go. Find gentle movement, working your way up to a seated position. Coming from corpse pose to lotus pose, signifying a rebirth. So awakening in a state of positivity. Awakening in a sense of trust for our humanity, a sense of love and compassion towards all people, even those that we may not agree with. On the inhale, lift the arms out and up, palms together at the top. On the exhale, place the thumb knuckles on the third eye for love in the mind. Thumb knuckles to the lips for love in the words. Thumb knuckles to the heart for love in the heart. Thank you all so much for your practice now and always. Namaste. I love all of you, and I'm glad you were here with me tonight. Thank you.